Today, we're going to decode the secret language of our bodies. We're diving deep to listen to these constant, hidden signals that are telling the story of our health, moment by moment.
I mean, just think about that for a second. What if your body could send you these super precise, detailed messages, maybe warning you about a disease years before you feel a thing, or telling you exactly which medicine is going to work best for you? Well, here's the amazing part. It already can.
You know, for centuries, we've been trying to listen to our bodies. Doctors would look at external signs, right? Things like a fever, your pulse rate, even the color of your urine. But now we're listening on a completely different level, a molecular level. We've gone from just observing the surface to reading the specific internal language of our very own genes and proteins.
So here's our game plan for this journey. First up, we'll define what these messages actually are. Then, we'll figure out how to decode them and see them in action. After that, we'll get a glimpse into the future of medicine, and finally, we'll get real about the challenges that are still ahead.
Okay, let's jump right in. What are these incredibly powerful biological messages actually called?
The scientific term is biomarker. But look, at its core, a biomarker is really just a measurable clue about what's going on inside your body. It's a signal we can actually detect and measure. Whether that signal is a tiny molecule, a specific gene, or a reading that gives us a clear picture of what's happening under the hood.
And you know what? You're probably way more familiar with biomarkers than you realize. I mean, if you've ever had your blood sugar checked for diabetes, or your cholesterol levels measured for heart disease risk, or even just had your blood pressure taken, yep, you've had your biomarkers measured. These are the classic examples of using these signals to keep an eye on our health.
But here's the thing. Not all of these signals mean the same thing. Scientists basically sort them into 4 main types, and each one answers a totally different question about our health.
I love this, because it really breaks down the 4 key jobs these signals do. So first, you've got your diagnostic biomarkers. Think of these like a biological smoke alarm. They go off when a disease is present. Next are prognostic biomarkers, which are kind of like a weather forecast for your body, predicting how a disease might progress. Then you have the really revolutionary predictive biomarkers, which can tell doctors how you, specifically, will respond to a certain treatment. And finally, monitoring biomarkers let us track a condition over time to see if a therapy is actually working. It's pretty amazing.
So this isn't just some stuffy, theoretical science stuck in a lab. Let's take a look at where these biomarkers are making a huge, real-world impact, moving right from the research bench into our actual lives.
And while the applications are just incredibly broad, of course, they're completely transforming medicine, especially fields like oncology and neuroscience, but they're also being used in environmental science to measure our exposure to pollutants, in toxicology, and even in sports science to track an athlete's stress levels and see how well they're recovering from an injury.
Let's just zoom in on neuroscience for a second. Right now, researchers are intensely studying proteins like amyloid as potential early warning signs for Alzheimer's disease. I mean, can you even imagine being able to detect a devastating disease like that years, maybe even decades before the first symptoms appear? That kind of head start is exactly the hope that this science offers.
And all of this is all leading us toward one of the most exciting frontiers in all of healthcare, personalized medicine.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, the path is pretty clear. A patient gets a diagnosis, but then comes the absolutely critical second step, a biomarker test. This reveals the unique biological signature of their condition, which then allows doctors to select a targeted therapy that's way more likely to be effective for that specific person.
And that right there is the ultimate goal. We are finally moving away from that old one-size-fits-all approach to medicine. By reading the body's own signals, we can choose treatments that are not only way more effective, but also have fewer nasty side effects, all because they're designed to work with your unique biology.
But okay, as amazing as all this sounds, we have to be real. We're not quite at the finish line yet. There are some pretty significant hurdles we still need to clear before we see the full potential of biomarkers.
First off, there's the whole reliability issue. Some markers can be kind of noisy, influenced by lots of different things, which makes them hard to read consistently. Then there's validation. Every single new biomarker has to go through these incredibly rigorous and expensive clinical trials. After that, you've got interpretation, the results can be super complex, and finally, there's accessibility, making sure these advanced, often expensive tests are actually available to everyone who needs them, not just a select few.
So here we are. We're finally learning to read our body's own hidden language. This ability to listen in on these deep biological conversations is already changing everything.
And that leaves us with a really powerful question, doesn't it? Now that we finally have a direct line to our bodies, what's the next question we should ask?